welcome to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Fist of the North Star, brought to us by Taxon. Based on the anime and manga Hokuto no Ken, Fist of the North Star is actually the second game released for the NES based on the manga series. And while I'm very familiar with the anime, it's been a long time since I actually sat down and watched it. Fist of the North Star actually is covering the second anime series and the Gento Koken story arc. An interesting note about the cover art for the North American version of the game is it actually depicts the hero, Kenshiro, fighting against Toki, who actually only appeared in the first anime series, so he's not anything to do with this game. So here we go with Fist of the North Star for the NES. At the startup screen you can jump right into the game, or you actually can do a two-player versus match. The game was released in 1987 in Japan and was brought over to North America in 1989. And as you can see from the title screen, it actually has a focus more on high score than anything else. As the game starts off, you'll notice that you can actually jump extremely high in the game, and by doing so, you actually move a lot faster across the screen. Your main form of attack is going to be punching enemies, and just like the anime, when you punch an enemy, they pretty much explode. The first mini-boss of the game, all you have to do is walk over, punch him a few times, and then back away to try to avoid his hit, then move in a couple more hits, and he ends up exploding. There are a few power-ups in the game. As you can see, there's a power meter at the top of the screen. This is represented by destroying enemies and they leave behind stars. When you collect these stars, you then get slightly more power. Over here, we have another boss. One of the highly recommended things is try to get in close to get a couple of hits, and then after one or two hits, jump high up into the air. This will allow you to avoid not only his main straight attack, but also his spinning jump attack that he likes to do. If he ends up making contact with you, he will end up causing you to fly across the other side of the screen. It'll take a little bit with this method, but it's a good way to kind of maintain as much health as you can. However, once you defeat him, you'll get full health back as we move on to stage number 2. Other power-ups include a necklace, which will actually give you invulnerability, as well as you can get a different kind of necklace, a silver necklace, which will give you an aura bar. This will allow you to actually launch fireballs once you have enough power-up. Also, throughout the game, there are different rooms you can enter, and these rooms sometimes contain flags. By grabbing a flag, you will end up gaining full health back. However, you also gain health back by defeating mid-bosses and, of course, by completing the stage itself. The second stage is a little bit of a maze, but if you pretty much follow the path I'm taking, you'll be able to get to the end of the level rather quickly. However, I'm not positive if that's the fastest way to get through the stage. Here we have another mid-boss, and it's pretty much the same strategy we used before on the mid-boss. Just punch him and then back away, get back in close and keep punching him and backing away, and you'll be able to drain all his health rather quickly with only 4 or 5 hits. Thankfully, most normal enemies in the game will actually explode with just a single punch, so you'll be seeing that explosion effect a ton throughout the game. In order to enter the room though, it's kind of weird. You actually have to press A and B and then the right on the D-pad in order to enter rooms. After jumping over this gap, it's now time to fight the stage boss of stage number 2. The best way I find to fight this guy is get close and then duck down in front of him and continually do your main punch attack. He will end up knocking you away a lot of the times, but since you can just hold down the attack button and keep repeating it over and over again, you'll be able to drain his health while avoiding some of his attacks. After you deliver enough hits to him, he'll end up exploding and we move on to stage number 3. In stage number 3, the enemies change up a bit, as we now have a new enemy. These little jumping ninja type enemies are quite annoying, but you can actually jump up into the air in order to get rid of them. Here, enter into this building, then walk across to the other side and you'll have to battle a mid-boss. Here, this guy with a whip is actually quite easy because he likes to jump over you and only attacks once in a while. Thankfully though, the whip doesn't do too much damage and you'll easily be able to drain his health before he takes you out. Then continue along to the right side, being able to take out more enemies as you do so. This is a good area to actually gain some of the power up on your power bar, so just stand here and defeat a few of the enemies, grabbing the stars they leave behind in order to fill up your power bar. After you've done so for a little bit, then go over to the left and enter that first door we saw. In the next room, you'll have to use your punching and kicking attacks in order to break down all these blocks so that you can get through. As you make your way through though, there will be some of those little ninjas and main enemies trying to attack you, some of which appear at the top of the screen and end up getting stuck in the blocks. However, you can still punch them through the blocks in order to get them to explode. While this area does take a little bit to get through, you'll fight enough enemies that you should be able to gain at least one or maybe two things of power. Over here, the best thing to take out this enemy is definitely your kick. This guy does a lot of damage, and usually I like to find myself get stuck against these blocks, and then keep using my kick over and over again to keep him a little bit at a distance while delivering lots of fast hits. Once you're able to drain his health though, he'll explode and we move on to stage number 4. Here I gain the first of the necklace power-ups that gives you invulnerability, as well as it gives you a doppelganger for a period of time that you can use in order to take out enemies as well. The enemies move rather quickly during this level, so have your finger on the button ready to hit them as soon as they appear. Over here we actually have the boss of the stage right away already. Just move close to him and continue attacking him, and as you get right over top of him, he'll actually have to back up in order to attack you. This gives you ample opportunity to keep delivering hits and then jump up into the air once he gets into the right distance he needs to be in order to actually attack you. In this level, we go back to the rather slow-moving green soldiers. However, we've actually gained a bunch of power-ups, so our speed is actually also increased during this stage, so you can see we move a lot faster now. The enemies that throw projectiles at you, you actually can immediately destroy the projectile by just using one of your kicks or punches and get rid of it. When you make it over to the right here, enter through the gate and you'll move on to the next part of the stage. Over here you can grab another one of those gold necklaces so you have invulnerability and the doppelganger for a short period of time. You can see now that since we've maxed out pretty much our power, we now grow into a much more muscular version and our shirt actually ends up ripping off of us. Keep fighting through the enemies until you make it to another gate, and then you can enter that to continue on in the stage. As we continue on, we once again get to an open gate, however this time is actually time to fight a boss. I usually like to jump in on this boss, deliver 1 or 2 hits, and then immediately jump back up into the air so I can try to avoid his punches as well as his projectiles. Thankfully, with the amount of power-ups we've gotten, we can actually take him out rather easily and move on to stage number 6. At the beginning of the stage, jump up to this platform with the windows barred and you may be able to get another gold necklace for invulnerability. Enemies during this area will appear on both the bottom and top, with the top ones liking to throw a lot of projectiles at you. We once again have a ton of really fast moving enemies that like to slide at you quickly, so just always be ready to punch anything that appears flying from the right or left side of the screen. Over here we have the mini-boss for the level. Jump up into the air close to him and deliver a couple hits before immediately jumping back up into the air. If you get him close to the left wall, he seems to just keep bouncing off that left wall over and over again, allowing you to keep jumping and dropping down in order to keep delivering hits quickly to get rid of him. For the next mini-boss, just get close to him, duck down, and keep doing your kick over and over again to get rid of him rather fast, and he won't be able to do any damage to you. After you're fighting your way through a ton of enemies, we get to another boss who actually throws projectiles at you this time. However, you can get up close to him and keep delivering your punches, and you'll be able to avoid any more projectiles being fired out, and with full power we easily drain his health. Now it's time finally for the boss of this level. There's actually a doppelganger of them, and as you can see they're right next to one another. The jumping up in the air strategy actually works well to avoid a lot of the punches and the projectiles they shoot out. Just drop down just a little bit closer to him each time and you can keep delivering those hits. Next up is stage number 7. At this level you can grab an invulnerability at the beginning, and you'll actually have to go on the top part of the stage. You won't be able to make it through by going down the bottom path. Taking this top path will lead to a set of stairs that you can climb up and continue on in the level. Just keep punching every couple of steps here so you can take out enemies throwing projectiles as well as those sliding guys. When you make it to the end, drop down and you'll be on a new screen. This screen is once again filled with the enemies that like to run in and slide at you, so just move slowly and punching every couple of seconds to get rid of them. Over here, it's now time for the boss battle of the stage. This guy can be rather tough as he flies around quickly using a slide kick. Once again though, the jumping actually works to your advantage so you can avoid a lot of his attacks. He'll always slide 2 times it seems like in a row, so just keep jumping over them to try to avoid getting hit. For stage 8, it's just the final boss battle of the game, and this guy once again likes to slide around, and it's pretty much the same boss battle we just had. Jump in the air, drop near him, and do a couple hits before immediately jumping back up into the air to continue doing damage. And since this is the final boss, it may be a good time to actually use your fireballs in order to do a little bit more damage. Once he's done though, you get the ending to Fist of the North Star for the NES. Unfortunately, there actually really isn't even an ending, as we just get a picture of the main character, as well as the credits for the game on a single screen. You can then go back to the main menu and start the game all over again. But with that, that's going to wrap up this edition of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.